I sat in those stands for almost 30 years, and for the first time, I didn't know if I wanted to come back. The crowd around me went quiet in a way I'd never heard before. Not angry, not loud, just quiet. Phones started lighting up one after another, screen after screen glowing in the stands. A number appeared, and within minutes, group chats were exploding across the parking lot and long into the drive home. Nobody said the word out loud yet, but everyone was already thinking it. A pole number. A legendary track. A driver saying something nobody expected out loud. By Monday morning, the one word nobody expected to hear about this race was fraud. That feeling belonged to one place, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, home of the Brickyard 400 2026. This wasn't supposed to be controversial. It was supposed to be sacred, a fixture on the calendar treated as untouchable. The inaugural 1994 NASCAR race at Indianapolis drew more than 250,000 spectators, a number that has become the emotional baseline every Brickyard race since has been measured against. Compare that to now, where attendance sits around 70,000, less than a third of what it once was at its peak. Then came the twist that turned a normal race weekend into a full-blown controversy. Journalist Jeff Gluck runs a widely tracked fan poll after every Cup Series race, and this time, the results landed like a gut punch. Only 22.7% of voters said the race was good. To put that in context, out of nearly 400 races tracked in the poll's history, this ranked among the 10 lowest rated ever recorded, and it stood as the second lowest rated race of the past 4 seasons. Gluck himself addressed the number directly, writing, "That is one of the 10 lowest scores in poll history, 798 races, and the second lowest score of the last 4 seasons." This poll didn't just rate a race. It lit a fuse under NASCAR's entire identity, one that had been building for years. Before this goes any further, if you're new here, this is NASCAR Trackline TV, and we're closing in on 1,000 subscribers. If you want to see exactly where this controversy goes next, hit subscribe now so you're here when it unfolds. Now, back to the story. The fans didn't wait long to respond, and Reddit quickly became the battlefield where the real argument started. Captain Ron16 challenged the label outright, saying he'd like to hear one good argument for why Brickyard deserves crown jewel status, arguing that the track's fame belongs to open-wheel and IndyCar history, not NASCAR's. Others weren't as certain where they stood. Maverick.Fox2 called it the most exciting, boring race they'd watched in some time, a comment that captured just how conflicted fans actually were about the entire afternoon. Then came the frustration rooted in what fans actually watched unfold on track lap after lap. Just Trying to Get By described watching a faster car close to within 5 car lengths of the leader, only to stall there for the rest of the run, unable to complete the pass despite the clear speed advantage it held. That single image became the proof point for why fans were mad. Not the number on a poll, but the racing product itself, lap after repetitive lap. And then Palamele44 delivered the line that summed up the entire afternoon in one sentence. 39 cars playing Follow the Leader for 160 laps. Fans weren't just reacting to one bad afternoon. They were asking, out loud and in large numbers, whether NASCAR had spent years protecting a name instead of delivering a product worth that name. Before this goes any further, if you're new here, this is NASCAR Trackline TV, and we're closing in on 500 subscribers. If you want to see exactly where this controversy goes next, hit subscribe now so you're here when it unfolds. The controversy didn't stay contained to fans for long. Drivers started speaking publicly, and that's when the stakes changed completely. Denny Hamlin, the Cup Series points leader who finished 5th at the Brickyard 400, addressed the backlash directly on his Daily Downforce podcast. He defended the venue itself, praising IMS President J. Douglas Bowles and the roughly 70,000 fans who showed up despite everything already being said online. According to Hamlin, the track wasn't the problem at all. Then he pivoted hard, stating bluntly, "This is a car problem, not an Indy problem." That statement carries real weight because of who's saying it. Hamlin has made 18 Brickyard 400 starts across his career, finishing 3rd on 4 separate occasions, most recently in 2025. Few active drivers have lived this particular race as long as he has, year after year. His proposed fix was just as bold as his diagnosis, an Indy-specific rules package involving adjustments to the rear spoiler and underbody, a suggestion that implicitly criticizes NASCAR's one-size-fits-all approach with the next-gen car across every track on the calendar, not just this one. Journalist Bob Pockras reinforced this angle, tweeting that Hamlin believes it's the next-gen car, not Indianapolis, that's the real issue at the center of this entire debate. Jordan Bianchi added to the conversation, noting that the real post-race discussion wasn't about who won, it was about whether the next-gen car can even race at Indy the way fans have come to expect over 3 decades. Even the sport's biggest insiders couldn't agree on whether this was fixable, or whether it was a symptom of something much deeper running through the entire series. That disagreement ran straight into the fan base itself, splitting it into 2 clear and increasingly bitter camps. On one side, defenders held their ground firmly. Gisbergen argued that the place itself is what makes it a crown jewel, comparing Indianapolis to Wimbledon or Madison Square Garden. Status rooted in the venue's meaning and history, not necessarily in the racing quality on any single given day. Seeker Blackout conceded the racing was bad, but argued that prestige comes from how badly drivers and teams want to win there, not from how entertaining it is for people watching at home on a Sunday. On the other side, critics tore the label apart entirely, sentence by sentence, comment by comment. Tagila's Lover called it the worst track on the schedule by a mile, saying he'd rather watch almost anywhere else on any given weekend of the season. Gman69455 raised the technical criticism directly. A faster car should physically be able to catch the bumper of a slower one, and NASCAR has let that specific problem sit unaddressed for years without offering a real fix. Individual Loquat 541 went furthest of all, arguing the car itself has no redeeming quality beyond safety, nothing more. This wasn't a fanbase simply agreeing the race was bad. It was a fanbase fractured over what NASCAR even is anymore at its core. And that kind of split is far more dangerous to the sport long-term than any single poll number could ever be on its own. In the middle of all this noise, the actual race winner nearly disappeared from the conversation entirely. Corey Heim won the Brickyard 400, but instead of celebrating a genuine career milestone, the post-race narrative was dominated completely by rules, package arguments, and prestige debates that had nothing to do with his win. Heim addressed it directly himself, saying people wanted to talk about Carson Hocevar, who finished 9th, instead of celebrating the actual result on the day it happened. Even the winner's moment got swallowed whole by a controversy far bigger than any single result, proof that the Brickyard's problems now extend well beyond one afternoon on one weekend at one track. So here's where this leaves NASCAR heading into the rest of the season and beyond. If Indianapolis, the most protected, most historic race on the entire calendar, can't survive this level of scrutiny, what happens to every other crown jewel still left on the schedule? None of the proposed fixes, an Indy-specific package, a schedule rotation, format changes, are official NASCAR policy right now, and none have been confirmed. At this stage, they're nothing more than fan and driver speculation circulating online, one theory stacked on top of another. The question is no longer whether the Brickyard 400 simply had one bad afternoon. It's whether NASCAR's entire definition of prestige can survive contact with a modern, impatient fan base that isn't willing to accept a name alone as a reason to keep watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to comment your take below and share this video with another NASCAR fan who needs to see it. And don't forget to subscribe to NASCAR Trackline TV so you're here for whatever comes next.